Welcome back to the desk one more time. Now it's Finch, now it's Tully, but we actually got Inbound, better known as Bobby, here on the desk with us. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing good. I mean, I didn't get to win earlier. I mean, that's you that got to feel as though I'm sure y'all are feeling good. But this next set that we got coming up here for you, that's going to be Astral Authority going up against SoaR here, Tully.
We're looking at the two records here. It's just complete opposites. We have Astral Authority dominating the online performance. We're seeing SoaR Gaming and online just only 2 points. And this is kind of a similar story compared to the last set, but anything happens on LAN.
Yeah, exactly. Anything can happen on LAN. Even though Kaz brought the decent games into game 1 and 2, they played outstanding. And same with game 2, or set 2. Both teams played fantastic, great sets. Anything can happen in this game also.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of great play throughout the tournament here so far. And in fact, y'all can play along at home if you want to be a part of it. We actually have a couple of really cool promos that we're running here for you. First up, though, is going to be Sennheiser. We're actually able to help y'all save just a little bit of money there with it, too. Using that code hi-rez, get 10% off the headset, even get you a hanger, Tully, to keep that headset looking nice.
A little flashy flair there as well. You know, for the casters, for the gamers, and all across the board, Sennheiser, the way to go. But speaking about this set here, Astral against SoaR, you were asking me about it earlier, and you were talking about it as well, how anything can happen in LAN. And if we take a quick look at the brackets, we're going to see how the day is going to pan out. And I think that Astral Authority definitely have a slight edge over SoaR.
Yeah, Astral, best team so far this season. They've won every LAN coming into this. Looked great online this split. Only dropped 1 game to SB in the second to last week, I think. Expect the same. Great Astral coming in.
Yeah, Astral Authority have looked really good. I mean, going up against SoaR, you know, this could be a slightly more even matchup, you know, than what we saw earlier, but I expect Astral to continue to look dominant, in particular for that SoaR team, though. I mean, MedievalDoc for them, their support. I mean, he's just looked excellent. He's facilitating a lot of what it is that team does so well, Tully.
He's been performing at a relatively well level, but, like, I always take a look at certain players' facial expressions at LAN, and when I've been speaking with MedievalDoc, like, I could just pick up on some of his tendencies, and he doesn't actually seem that confident to me.
He's actually like a really quiet player. He's really calculated. He thinks a lot. He's actually not even their main shot caller, I don't think, but incredible player he is.
Yeah, I mean, MedievalDoc, excellent form. We're able to see, you know, some of those stats there where we can get an idea of what it is that, you know, the SoaR team does here so well. I mean, even able to, you know, just see a little bit of what he does that. Maybe then win-loss isn't, you know, quite as reflective of just how good we know some of these players are on this team, though, Tully. I mean, that's what the whole point of this LAN is. You come in, you kind of forget a little bit about that record and do it all over again. I mean, Inbound, talk to me about that. I mean, when y'all come in, do you just sort of forget about that regular season, just play this LAN?
Yeah, really the only thing you look at is their LAN experience. That's the only thing that really matters. Record really doesn't matter. If you look at SoaR, they have a rookie in SoaR, Mr. White, and then they have a rookie in Mr. Task. And but both of them were fantastic players. They both played great online, even though their record obviously doesn't show it.
I mean, whenever you have LAN rookies, how important is it for the other veterans, especially for your team, to kind of like pick everybody up?
Yeah, for our team specifically, we had, this is my first LAN. Well, it's my second LAN. I coached in a different one, but this is Crimson's first LAN. And coming in, I was really confident. Crim was a little less talkative, but he's still a confident player. But having the other, just like the comms from the other three, just huge for it.
Well, those comms, as you said, the communication, we've heard a lot about that here this weekend, just how important that is, especially if you end up having some shifts there with the team. Another big part of what SoaR Gaming does so well, though, going over to Shallower, we got to talk to him earlier on, and I know that he's been feeling good about this tournament, feeling confident with his team. And, I mean, we got to hear, I mean, he's got a strong mind here for this game, man. That's so important coming out from your mid laner, Tully.
Different mindset than Medieval, for sure. Shallower has been one of these players that I've seen grown throughout every single LAN. He just keeps getting better and better than the previous one and more confident. We actually saw him earlier on today on the desk, and just being able to do a good job here as well just goes to show what kind of a well-balanced player he is.
And, you know, what he said to me that I thought was really important was that he talked to me about how important it is to sort of be patient when you're playing in the mid lane sometimes, to be able to recognize that you're important to keep yourself safe. How important is that when your mid laner Inbound is able to play carefully, able to position that right way?
Shallower is one of the safest mid laners in the game. He plays the Thos, he plays the Souls, so he does play safer gods, but when he plays them excellently. He knows when to put out his damage and to scoot forward, and he knows when to play back and to be prepared for an engage, and he's always in the right spot.
He was talking to me earlier on in the desk saying how, like, if he was Alexim playing the Raijin and he got first blood, he'd be able to carry that game. Is that a strategy that maybe you guys would probably focus him out more?
Yeah, we would probably focus out Chalber, as he is one of their more veteran players. If you can tilt the veterans at LAN, then the rookies are definitely sure to follow.
And it's so important, too, when you've got a mid laner like that who can sort of flex between that safety or, like you said, pop off when he needs to. And he might just need to. They're going up against Astral Authority here, Toli. What a tough matchup going up against some of the top players here right now. In particular, I'm talking about Elbro Chacho for them, man. What a big part of what this team does so well. And vocal, too. I mean, just a vocal part of that team.
You were talking to me inbound about getting into people's head, and no one better than Elbro Chacho being able to speak their mind clearly. Winning spring, winning summer, he's been performing very well, and you know, coming into this LAN, they're looking pretty good with their record.
Yeah, well, we actually had a chance to, you know, to talk a little bit to Bro Chacho and see how he's feeling coming here into this LAN. So let's go ahead and listen in.
We've won the last 2 LANs. Last LAN we kind of didn't go in the highest seed, so that was a little bit disappointing. But at the same time, our expectation is to pretty much win every LAN this year. So we're not overly aggressive. We've actually gotten way more disciplined. The mindset's gone from kill-based to more objective-based. Falling short after talking a bunch of smack to Eager last year, when we were expected to beat them, and then get 3-1 was not my exact. You know, definitely didn't have a good time losing like that. I think our team was more hungry this split than any other split, because going into Valencia LAN, we didn't go in with the expectations we wanted to. Like I said, we weren't the #1 seed going in out of North America. That already was like kind of a low blow to us, and we were kind of all a little bit disappointed in ourselves. After winning Valencia, it was kind of almost a motivation. Let's not let that happen again this split, which this split we're coming in first seed like we feel we should be, and hopefully we come out on top now with this another LAN victory. I think the SCL this is the most competitive it's been, hands down. Honestly speaking, SB's looked really strong, and I think that's a team that, even though they're in the other groups, we're definitely going to be looking at their play style, because we potentially are going to have to go against them at Worlds.
Well, you heard the man say it there himself. That's Bro Chacho coming out from Astral Authority, and the console league is looking real competitive. Do you agree with that? You think we're at that point now where it's maybe the most competitive it's ever been?
Yeah, absolutely. The PC players that came over originally to Xbox because it was free are like starting now like flush out, except like the really good ones that are still there. Shaliber, Wolves. Obviously, Wolves was a PC player, but yeah, it's getting incredibly competitive.
Yeah, right now, the console league is very close, and hopefully this set here between Astral Authority and SoaR is going to be close too. I imagine it will. Let's go ahead and get into picks and bans and see what it is that these two teams are going to be looking for. And Toli, I'm going to ask you here, what do you think we might be seeing prioritized between these two teams?
I think it's going to be Wolves' pick, honestly. The way he plays the solo lane, he has such a diverse god pool that he'll play almost anything, literally, but they always try to go for his pick before the secondary ban phase and lean in that solo lane a little bit. KhaoticPurpose likes to play aggressive. You know, he'll go for the Thor, the Awilish, some sort of early game pressure god, trying to help Wolves get in a good spot.
SoaR right away, banning away the Coviiii and banning away the Zeus. So these are some big damage, big controlling gods that they're trying to limit out. And Astral taking away Ratatoskr and the Osiris. But it's going to be over to SoaR for this first pick here, Tol.
What do you think that SoaR is going to go? Oh, as I said, that Raijin, Shaliber, he was telling me, you know, how comfortable he is on this Raijin, and now he gets the comfort pick. But Astral Authority looking for ways to lock him in with this Cabrakan pick.
Yeah, Cabrakan is a weird pick because I don't know exactly where it's going to go.
Right.
I haven't seen really any of them play it. It might be a Chacho Cabrakan because it is that aggressive support that Chacho loves. And with that Odin lock-in, we obviously know where that's going. That is going to Mr. Wolves.
Wolves loves the Odin indeed, and those are two great wall structures, being able to really limit some of the mobility and movement specifically out of that Raijin. And Serqet also needs to be mindful about her positioning, because now if we're going to see SoaR's Mollusk try to use the 3 to get in there or the blink, he needs to be careful about how to get out with those ultimates.
Kuzenbo being picked up along with Serqet for SoaR. That'll give them a good bit of damage to try and counteract some of the tankiness from Astral Authority. But this Odin here, Bobby, we haven't gotten to see much of it here so far. It's been banned this weekend, I think, almost every game. What does this Odin do that's so potent, that's so difficult to go up against? Just talk to me about it a bit.
Xbox players love the cage. They love being able to trap the players in there, and they'll take advantage of it. They'll focus even if they get one player in it, they'll focus that one player and they'll kill him.
even in the PC side of things, we've seen Odin every now and then. Not in the solo lane necessarily. Sometimes we'll see some utility junglers pick it, specifically Captain Twig from the PC world, but still doing a good job about, you know, limiting some of these god selections, making sure that Serqet needs to save her 3 before getting out of danger from that Odin ult, and that it's going to limit some of the offensive capabilities between the Raijin and the Huyi using their escapes to initiate.
Yeah, I mean, everyone here on SoaR right now wouldn't have too hard of a time getting out of that Odin cage. Is that something that might limit his effectiveness, or do you think Odin still won't have any problem here with it?
I don't think it'll have any problem because you can bait out those escapes and cooldowns to start things off and then allow the Cabrakan to maybe focus somebody out, or vice versa, let the Cabrakan go first, then Odin to follow up.
It also allows him to not play aggressively. If that Raijin dashes in, the cage is going down. If that Serqet jumps in, the cage is going down. It makes SoaR play have to play a little bit more safe.
Limiting the ways that SoaR can play just through the picks and bans here. Astral Authority already off to a good start, but as is SoaR, these compositions are looking good. It's the ROM that's picked up here, and that's going to be the option for Astral Authority as Ganesh and Soul get taken away. Soul's also been something we've seen prioritized here this week, Tully.
Soul has that flexibility between the mid and the hunter position, so it's not a bad idea to take that off the table. But with this ROM late game, I'm really worried for SoaR's chances of surviving, because now they're going to have to worry about the ROM snipes coming after they've already escaped maybe the Cabrakan ultimate or Odin cage.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. If the 3 escapes that SoaR has, if they do use them to get out and they get out really low, Rama's going to go up into the air and he's going to snipe them all down.
We've even seen Rom do a good job of contesting objectives. I mean, you know, if SoaR try and go over and get one started, he can contest it rather safely, too, going up into that ultimate as we see Xing Chen and then Athena get locked away. So still some options towards some of these Guardians, especially since SoaR haven't picked one up yet.
Yeah, and knowing the Astral Authority, wow, well, I didn't expect the double physical hunter from Astral Authority. I was trying to think about what sort of Guardian or jungle combination that they would have went for here, but maybe it's still going to be the Willisher, considering it would be able to snatch away the Serqet and the Coviiii.
Yeah, I didn't even know Astral ran double hunter coming in this land, and being able to bring that out is huge. I don't know if I don't even know if SoaR's ready for it.
The surprise factor. Are you guys ready for it? You guys are in the same group.
Ready now.
Now we are getting to see it come out here first. But I like the Oilix that you talked about there. I mean, that's something that could certainly go along with this, especially after baiting out or forcing some jumps. So I mean, that's an option that they're able to go to if they so choose it. But right now, it's on to SoaR to decide how they want to round out the rest of this. And right now, it's probably looking like they still need a solo and a support to try and help them out. So where do you think they're going to be going? Well, there we go. They got the Nike pick coming out here. Something we don't get to see a whole lot of. Totally.
Another jump, so I'm leaning more and more now for the SoaR on the Astral side of things. But the Nike makes sense because of the late game power that she brings to teams with the passive alone. You get those stacks, you get a huge boost in mobility, huge boost of power. Kuzenbo, last pick for SoaR Gaming, is going to provide a little bit of peel, not the most optimal peel in the world, considering that Khepri was open, Geb was open. Talk to me about this Kuzenbo pick.
Kuzenbo has been weirdly like prioritized for Xbox, not like a first pick ban or first pick god, first ban, but a lot of gods will. I mean, a lot of players will look for that god in like the second phase. It's kind of weird.
Coming back over for those Kuzenbo picks, something they've been picking. Fafnir, as you said, is what's going to be locking in last there for Astral Authority. So they've got the double hunters and that triple tank composition that we've seen do so well here lately. Totally. I mean, how do you feel about this comp Astral have going up against what SoaR trying to do?
I mean, it makes perfect sense to me. You know, you get 2 physical hunters, or, you know, a magical and a physical. You get the Fafnir as well, and then you got the huge tank buffer to be able to allow your late game hunters to kind of free cast. But you got a nice little mix of hunters because you have one in-hand hunter with a ROM, and then an ability-based one, Medusa. So any sort of team fights that's happening for Astral Authority, whether it's in the open or in little corridors, I think that Astral should be able to control the spacing.
Astral's objective control is going to be huge. They have 2 walls, Cabrakan, Odin, and they have the Fafnir for the burn with the double hunter. And if you get through the cages, Medusa ult's going to be right there.
Now, I know you said this Kuzenbo pick is something that's been, you know, prioritized here lately, but I'm thinking it's also something that could be good against these double hunters. Totally, is Kuzenbo, or rather inbound here, I mean, is that something that can potentially shut down these 2 physical hunters?
Yeah, he's going to be able to sit in front of them, and you don't want to attack into those shell spikes.
Especially if he picks up Thorns as a relic as well. It's going to be a little bit annoying for Astral's Hunters. I'm sure they're going to play around it a little bit here. But I really like the late game potential as well from SoaR Gaming because of this Nike. It's not a goddess that we've seen in a common situation, whether it's PC or console side, but you're thinking long-term, and if there's any more long-term goddess, I can't think of it other than Nike.
Nike just, she has 160% health, and she has her 2 procced when she ults, and you have to tear through it with her thorns, and you have Kuzenbo thorns and Kuzenbo shell spikes. This Hunter's going to be doing a lot of damage to themselves.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to try and make their way through this front line for those 2 hunters, but all the pressure is kind of going to be on them. I was just about to ask you, Toli, I mean, with this composition, I mean, they've got the Cabrakan. Is that going to be enough magical damage for them with this composition?
Well, considering, well, they also have Fafnir, right?
Sure.
He does a lot of damage once he goes into that drag, and you can't really deny that sort of power, considering that he boosts himself up, he boosts his teammates up with the coerce, the attack speed as well. As long as he hits the hammer in both the dragon form and normal form, then he's going to be able to compensate for the lack of mid-mage burst damage. Now, the question remains still from Astral is, where's this Cabrakan going? Where's the Odin? You said Wolves is, you know, obviously the staple Odin player. He's going to be against a Nike in the solo lane. Talk to me about that Odin versus Nike solo lane matchup.
That's not going to be much of a kill lane matchup, and when KP is not on an assassin, he's on the, well, we assume he's going to be on that Cabrakan. Nike's just going to be able to jump over both walls, so you have to either bait out the jump with one wall and use the other one, or hopefully the Odin out farms the Nike.
And I agree. It sounds like that's kind of the storyline of this game here for me, is how patient are SoaR going to be with these jumps? Is Astral going to be able to bait them out and take them away from them, or are they going to be able to use them at the perfect timing? Talk to me a little bit about how important it is going to be for them to use these jumps.
It's going to be extremely important because of the aggression that Astral likes to kind of do game in and game out. We're looking at Season 3 versus 4 stats from Wolves. He's always an aggressive player. Not only does he like to fight and find the kills, but he's always going to find a way to out-farm you, even if he is behind. And that's why he kind of likes playing this Odin and Loki, just simply because he's able to min-max his farm.
Yeah, he's just able to clear the wave, and he runs and finds farm elsewhere. He has this weird passive where he just gets more farm than everyone else.
That's how I feel, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but MOR Wolves, I mean, I mean, we say it a lot, but one of the big players here on this Astral Authority squad, someone that you certainly have to make sure that you're on the lookout for. And I want to ask you, because you all hinted on this a little bit, when you run this triple tank comp and the 2 hunters, you kind of feel like you want like one that kind of fills the role of that mage, like Hui with the Suns. I mean, like you said, Medusa kind of does that too with all the ability damage she brings.
She is indeed having a lot of scaling on all her abilities. You can even use that dash offensively to limit some of the healing potentially. Not too much healing on the side of SoaR. You're looking at the Nike's HP 5 passives. Like no one else really has healing within their kit. They could have potentially looked for some lifesteal options, you know, Hui's always going to build into Devo gloves. But either way, that petrified ultimate is the key. It's basically a mage ultimate without being magical damage.
Yeah, that's like the zone control that they needed out of the mid player. When we look back at the PC games, when Obey finally shut down Elevate, Elevate's mid laner, I forgot his name, he didn't get on that big zone controlling hunter. He played the on her, and it kind of fell apart because they didn't have that huge zone control that like a Petrified would bring.
That's what Medusa will bring here for him, that Petrify able to get so much out of it.
Looking at the stats here from KhaoticPurpose, his most played god in Season 4 was the Owilish. That's why I was really surprised that we didn't see it after the secondary ban phase, considering that they had the last pick. They still could have ran Cabrakan or the Odin in the support role and then switch up their jungle, really trying to snatch some of these jumpers from the sky. But either way, wanting to really get more objective control with the Fafnir, you got to really respect their efforts.
And it really seems to me like I guess they wanted that third tanky presence. But, I mean, I got to agree, the synergy there with an Owilish would have been nuts. But, I mean, going this direction, there's nothing wrong with that one either. It's just a little bit of a different feel. But we've seen that triple tank comp be so effective. I mean, Inbound, I got to ask you, I mean, when you look at that comp, the triple tank comp, not necessarily just this one, but what is it that makes that composition so effective?
Just Thorns. Thorns makes it so hard to fight into. Having, they have the Cabrakan, Odin, and, what was the third tanky one?
Fafnir?
Fafnir, yeah. They have those 3. So they're going to be taking up all the damage from the enemy team's backline. So it's going to have to be like who can get out and kill the other team's front line easier.
And that's what we've seen from them. And to be honest, though, I mean, SoaR, I mean, they kind of have the composition to do it. I mean, Serqet with Raijin with long-range damage, I mean, to get to the backline might not be too bad for him, totally.
No, might not be bad too much at all. But looking at the Serqet, she needs to get the damage off early because the tanky presence late game is going to be a problem for her.
It'll be hard for them to deal with, but we've been here with y'all enough on the desk. We actually have our casters available with you, and they're ready to go ahead and start taking it away for us. Let's get over to Tom. Let's get it over to Taco.
Thanks a lot, guys. Astral versus SoaR. This one's going to be interesting. These are the two heavy hitters, I think, from the North American scene. And Astral previously has kind of shown that first foot, so to speak. But SoaR, certainly no slouch.
And Astral have kind of set a standard for North American console in that a lot of teams regard them as one of the more top-tier, high-end players. And when you're facing off against that as a team like SoaR, it can certainly have it can make your confidence waver a little bit, but for SoaR, that's going to be the most important part, is keeping their player mentality in check.
And when it comes to SoaR, you know, that's something that I would think of previously, specifically looking at Shaliber, where, you know, Shaliber is the type of guy that used to fold under pressure, and I think that his experience here in the SCL and various lands have really helped him sort of shake that. And I love to see a player make moves like that. I love to see a player grow like that, because Shaliber, I think, today is a much different player than he was when he first came to LAN.
Well, speaking of which, SoaR Gaming not really willing to let their red buff go for free. Transonics, though, he's got his eyes set on those mini creeps from the purple buff of SoaR, and Medieval actually still trapped at level 1. So is Mr. White, and it's actually going to be a full-on commit there from Brochacho and Transonics.
Astral with a cool plan there to go ahead and find the creeps behind the tower. By picking up that proxy farm, he's able to really, Brochacho and Transonics are really able to pick this lane up into a different direction.
One of the advantages that Ram can have because of those Astral Arrow stacks and just shreds through the wave. Bonus damage, always important whenever you're trying to prioritize clear.
So right now, the Astral, taking a page out of last week's Super Regionals, we saw Elevate play 3 Guardians, 2 Hunters to much success, and were able to find a lot of victories. So Astral Authority, a team who has always been on the forefront of the meta here on the side of the console, also taking a look at what the other players are doing across the way in the PC world.
And again, Medieval trying to help his Hunter clear out the wave just because of the fact that Trans and Brochacho got off to such a great start. Losing the Oracles, though, because I don't believe that SoaR is going to be able to contest these. Transonics will at least be able to secure one of them. And sure enough, they'd rather focus on clearing out the lane because they recognize if they make that rotation, they're not going to be back in time to try and out-pressure Astral.
I mean, Astral's just basically won the entire left side of the map. Both buffs on the left side of SoaR Gaming's jungle, they're able to clear out the wave, not just the first time, but the second time. And now they have the luxury of their own buffs as well. I mean, just fantastic lane control coming out from Astral Authority.
And this is a very ideal situation for Transonics, more importantly, because I'd imagine he's going to be the one picking up that red buff initially. It might trade off later on to Coviiii, because Coviiii is playing Medusa. That's a physical hunter who prospers in this early game stage. So maybe Coviiii with that red buff might get a little bit more usage than a Ram early on. It's still, though, the fact that Transonics can threaten Mr. White with that boosted damage in hand, it just makes it even more threatening in that lane.
Well, we got a glimpse of the solo lane, which is going to be an interesting matchup. Odin versus the Nike. Odin, a much more front-loaded god. Nike, the late-game character over there in the solo lane. Here on the left side, though, MedievalDoc going to get stunned out here. Only level 3 for the support Kuzenbo. Could be an issue as both members of Astral Authority have their ultimates.
Brochacho, though, not looking to play too aggressive, sitting a little bit low on mana there, and did take a decent bit of poke from Mr. White, so he's going to opt to fall back alongside of Transonics, who's just probably looking for that back harpy farm.
Right now, Coviiii relatively safe here in the middle lane. No reason to mess with him, so to speak, as our jungler and our mid laner wind up heading to the right side of the map. And this is the matchup that I was talking about just a moment ago. And Nike, a much later game character, but definitely can do some work.
And for Wolves, though, this Odin matchup, sure, Odin can bully out his opposition on certain occasions, but the main focus here for Astral is they just want pure control in those team fights. Wolves isn't picking Odin to win the laning phase. He's picking that Odin because he wants to ensure that whoever Astral decides to target in team fights, they're going to be able to keep locked down for a large period of time.
And, you know, talking about the lane matchup specifically, Wolves is going to be able to bully Nike for a little bit, but she comes with so much built-in MP5, you know, likely going to build into those items. Stone of Gaia specifically, not because of Flavor of the Week, but because of the fact that HP5 works out very well with her and her passive and her shield. And then, you know, one of the nice things that Nike has going for her in this lane matchup is Odin doesn't have a way to interrupt that wave clear ability whatsoever.
And that's probably going to be one of the more concerning factors as well, is just how much time a Nike is going to be able to buy against Astral Authority's composition, at least for those early game engagements, should Astral try to play more aggressive in that way. And speaking of aggressive, Mr. White actually getting a nice little stun there onto Transonics. Actually looking to take up the boxing trade. He's about to get a solo onto Transonics.
And it happens! Mr. White starts things off hot. SoaR Gaming. First blood to the purple.
Transonics, that's just one of those circumstances where you're just not watching your health bar. I think he actually got clipped by that bounce off of the wall, and that's just hi-rez damage to a T.
I mean, that was straight up. Transonics had a couple of ways out of there. I think Oscar just caught him sleeping. Transonics did not expect that, and that's why he dies.
That's the overconfidence and a little bit of not showing enough respect for that counter lane matchup, because hi-rez counters it.
Well, Mollusk jumps in and misses everything, so he's going to jump out as well. Nothing happening in the mid lane so far, but yeah, no, that was, it's very interesting watching Transonics succeed, because Transonics found early success here on the console. Still one of the strongest hunters, but very, I would say, mild-mannered, unassuming. He's got a little bit, always a quiet guy, still a quiet guy to this day, but he's got a little bit of a swagger to him these days, and I don't think Transonics dies there last year or the year before.
No, I don't think so either. He didn't even elect to use that rollout until it was entirely too late. Didn't even look for the ultimate. He has boots, so realistically speaking, should never be getting caught out in that situation against the hi-rez, who opted for Devourers first. But for Mr. White, that is a huge victory because of the fact that he went Devils first and was still able to find that solo kill.
And I love just the audacity of, I'm just gonna raw ult here. I mean, I kind of made a, like, what are you doing?
I think we both did.
Yeah, like, what are you doing? But there's something to be said about the play you make. Is it right or wrong? I'll tell you when I get the results. Right side of the map, Mollusk being surrounded by Astral Authority. JacobTask going to chase some players out after Mollusk jumps away. Very eager to fight here in the enemy jungle. SoaR Gaming trying to protect their buffs. Blue buff about to spawn, and red buff was secured by their Serqet. So no harm, no foul, despite the fact that Astral wanted to get aggressive.
Mollusk dropped his ultimate, though, and it did almost nothing to Wolves, but it wasn't even a shell. It was just the extra health protection from the Odin shield.
Yeah, and this, fair amount of protection there. That, of course, I think will dissipate as the game goes on and on. We'll take a look, and that's kind of the nice thing that I like about this Mollusk selection on the Serqet, is that, sure, on the Odin, might not strike so hard, but the double hunters, they're going to get eaten up, so I like that.
And Brochacho, actually, we saw this from LAN last weekend, but now we're starting to see it surface again here. That Ward Chalice early on, and I think that that's a very interesting pickup, because it can be a little bit risky for that initial gold investment, but as long as you're making sure to consistently place those wards, you're going to get more than enough value out of that relic or item.
And with the Chach, I'm not concerned about it. Brochacho routinely places perhaps too many wards during a game. So Chalice, by going Chalice, there's no such thing as too many wards. So for a man that really values vision like El Brochacho, I think this is the right move. I like it.
Despite that first blood being in favor of SoaR Gaming, though, Astral Authority have had no issues with keeping up farm-wise. That 400 gold, you don't even notice it. And it's actually going to be SoaR securing those oracles. Very strong defense, or I should say very strong security.
Uh-oh, Transonics in trouble, finds the roll. Mollusk already dealing the damage. Transonics gonna go down and spread the poison, excuse me, over to El Brochacho. Players getting loud here, and that one happened rather quietly.
I don't think that they were expecting it, but Transonics is certainly going to start paying a little bit more attention now to the pressure that SoaR have actually been placing on him in the dual lane.
I mean, that was just a wrong place, wrong time type deal. They had no idea that Mollusk was there, even though you can see two Astral Authority wards at the top and the bottom of the Gold Fury, he must have finagled his way around those wards. If Mollusk goes all the way down towards his own tower and then wraps back around, he's not caught in any of the AA vision. So.
That's where I want to see Mollusk spending most of his time, though, is in that dual lane. The most punishable member from Astral right now is probably going to be Transonics, because so many teams tend to just leave their hunters in that solo farm ADC island. And with that being a factor here, it makes it kind of easy for a Serqet to get in and out.
And right now, Mr. White, about a level and a half above Transonics, certainly having a good game, starting this one off by himself with the solo kill, then secondly letting his jungler do the dirty work. But either way, his direct opposition taking 2 deaths so far, and we're only 10 minutes in.
And this is a rough one for Transonics as well, because Mr. White already has 57 stacks in those Devourers, plus he finished off Boots. He's going to be a much stronger asset in team fights should any break out anytime soon. And if I'm SoaR, I am looking to fight as soon as possible, knowing that my Hunter has this much of an advantage.
Right now, Shaliber been very quiet this game, so is Coviiii. Mid laners, both of which who can make an impact early on. Shaliber has pretty decent damage, able to clear the wave, and can transfer that onto players themselves. And Coviiii on the Medusa. This is certainly an earlier game hunter than most of the choices here. And we can see Astral Authority finally getting antsy and making a move. A little bit of a stun, and the ultimate comes out from Coviiii, but not enough to find the kill.
Transonics still feeling frisky enough to take up some early boxing trades with Mr. White, and doing a pretty decent job at it, considering that he is 2 levels down right now, or about a level and a half underneath Mr. White.
Mollusk getting lucky there. If KP has a stun ready, that is a dead Serqet. The zigzag down, the jump was just used, but not going to be the case. Team won't focus on Serqet. Mr. White pushed up far. Here comes El Borchacho jumping on in, waiting for the stun. Misses it. That's a big one. KhaoticPurpose all the way out. And because of Borchacho off the money with the stun, KhaoticPurpose can't come through and help. And Mr. White will live again.
Astral needed that stun to at least force the purification beads from Mr. White, because then KhaoticPurpose could have a little bit of follow-up, but it's going to be Medieval now, who's actually the secondary target. Nobody to keep him trapped underneath, and they got to be careful from those stuns.
Players here. Everybody in Astral Authority seems to have shown up. Coviiii gets the kill. Beautiful assist coming out from KhaoticPurpose with the ground pound. Trying to get away. Won't happen. Mollusk drops the ultimate and a couple of basics, and they're going to turn it into 2. Mr. White collapses on the support. That's going to be kill number 4 for SoaR Gaming.
And it's just 2 hunters left alone against Shaliber and Mr. White. Doesn't seem as though SoaR want to pull this Gold Fury. They're just looking to secure these oracles for that vision. Coviiii, though, likely to use his ultimate just in case.
I like that play. You've got help from the Rama up top, but he's going to miss 2 of them. But a couple of shots from Coviiii are good. One more seals the deal. And Mr. White sits down for the first time all day, all game rather, 2-1-2. SoaR Gaming up 4-2.
And Coviiii just automatically using his beads as soon as he decides to commit for that kill, not wanting to risk any time from a ricochet stun just in case Shaliber decides to try and provide some assistance for his Hu-Yi.
13 minutes in here, SoaR Gaming with a interesting comeback here. SoaR is able to... Astral farmed out better in the early game, but then SoaR found a first blood. And Astral seemed to have been making plans, but then SoaR made some kills, and nobody's getting that Gold Fury.
No chance at all. SoaR with that ward vision, even though Astral Authority have control of the oracles, just means that they're going to have to wait a little bit longer before trying to sneak that one away. But that kill so important onto Mr. White, because it gave Transonics time to catch up a little bit and farm.
Exactly. Early on, you know, Mr. White with the solo kill, and then the subsequent kill by the jungler. Transonics is sitting there, like I said, about a level and a half, almost 2 full levels down. Now, like, because the Hu-Yi sitting down, you're going to be able to come back into it. And the stacks, I think, are you know, kind of beyond the point. Now you're looking at life beyond the first 2 items and different build paths coming out from both these hunters.
I'm pretty sure we're about to see a 3rd item Odysseus bow, actually, from Transonics, just wanting to spam some of that auto attack speed, because it's probably going to be followed up shortly with that Titan's Bane. We've normally been seeing a lot of hunters going at Pillbat. Hold that thought, though. Shaliber getting aggressed on pretty heavily here, and he's just gone.
Easy. Just nice and easy. Follow-up, not so easy. KhaoticPurpose drops the ultimate and the ground pound, but an ultimate from the Medieval will be able to get him out of there. Mr. White playing with fire here, looking for the stun, misses it on the middle laner, but now he's up a creek. Too many players in AA jerseys. Mr. White gets taken down to half HP. Brochacho still here. Down come the Suns on top of the Gold Fury. Still being attacked by Astral Authority, but SoaR is able to steal it. Mr. White with the hot plays. Mollusk takes care of things up north. Mr. White gonna suffer down south, but the objective steal already taken care of.
And Mollusk was actually able to get out for free, and for SoaR, that's worth it every single time. Astral just getting a little bit too greedy, trying to not leash that Gold Fury fully.
Just trying to test the Hunter ult. I mean, Hou-Yi ultimate is one of those where you're like, hey, we might be able to get in between the dot ticks, but I don't know, Taco. I don't like that play.
I do also believe, though, that Astral were kind of forced into it a little bit because of how low they got that Gold Fury initially. With Mr. White committing his ultimate, SoaR were most likely just going to re-pull that Gold Fury anyway. So for Astral, they're kind of trapped. But again, they needed to just leash that Gold Fury a lot sooner. As soon as they saw that SoaR wanted to challenge them in that Gold Fury pit, it's time to just fight. You have the 4v5 advantage.
Exactly. I mean, you saw Mr. White completely surrounded. If Astral Authority peel off the objective and just go for the Hunter, that's a dead Hou-Yi. The Suns don't even come down. You don't even get to that point, right? But when you're at that point, the second you leash it, it goes immune. You can't do any damage if nobody's there to tank it. So, you know, just definitely a misplay coming out from Astral Authority, whether you want to fault the decision-making or the stick to the objective call. Either way, things not coming up right for AA.
And Transonics actually opted for the Ickfall. This is an item we have not seen in a very long time, whether it's being influenced by the fact that he knows that he fell behind to Mr. White, so he believes it's going to give him enough boxing potential to match that Executioner. That's most likely the case here. It's a bit of a risky play, though. Can definitely pan out.
I like the play. I really do, Taco. And I tell you, because Ickfall used to be the idea for Ickfall. It's a cheap, inexpensive item that gives you some stats, right? And unfortunately, it was just too good, right? So that changed, and then nobody ever bought it. But the idea of it being specifically there for you to sort of get yourself out of a hole, just cheap stats, real quick, right now, and then you move on. Transonics taking the ultimate from the Serqet. I kind of like that, and I think that that's a very smart move for Transonics.
And I don't think that he's going to regret it anytime soon, considering that it's helping him get the farm that he needs. He did get forced to back because of that commit from Mollusk in his lane, but of course, that's just kind of anticipated by now. I think Transonics has certainly learned better after his first couple of early deaths, and now it's all about playing catch-up.
That's exactly what he's going to find himself doing. Nice little interrupt there on the dash. Wolves trying to take the 1v2 on the enemy's tower. Just not a care in the world. Doesn't care about the Kuzenbo, doesn't care about the Nike. Neither of these characters are really going to, you know, swing at him really hard.
Wolves doesn't care about anything except farming other people, and that's usually what he ends up doing anyway.
So right now he's looking for the kill 1v2?
He's not going to be able to find a kill as Odin, at least not in that matchup against two formidably tanky opponents, but he can very well exert his presence and a little bit of dominance being asserted as well.
Right now, a little split here on the mid-Harpies. Left side, we'll go to Astral Authority. Right side, we'll go to SoaR Gaming. I don't think anybody really going to stick their nose in anybody's business here. So 18 minutes in, all things generally tied. SoaR Gaming up by about 1,000 gold and 1 kill. That's about as small as a lead as you could possibly have and still call it a lead.
I think that KhaoticPurpose has also done a really great job at ensuring that he's able to help out his team as much as possible, considering just how much mobility he doesn't have in comparison to Mollusk on the Serqet.
Yeah, he's just been able to really catch up and stay local, which I think is the big deal. If you can just shout, hey, I need you, and a Cabrakan shows up, you're absolutely doing the right thing as the jungler. So KhaoticPurpose has just been in the right place at the right time a lot of the moments.
And for Astral, since that Gold Fury was eliminated by SoaR, it just means that they're kind of just waiting around. Everybody's trying to farm up, soak up as much farm as possible, because you just know it's going to be a fight as soon as this Gold Fury spawns.
Exactly. And as soon as it shows up, all of these teams are going to show up, and You know, I don't think we're going to see what we saw before. I think Astral Authority will be a little bit more careful around the objective. But I do expect SoaR to stay that aggressive. I think SoaR is succeeding here because they have their foot on the gas.
I think that SoaR have already exceeded people's expectations. I know a lot of players and probably the public perception as well is just that SoaR was going to get steamrolled by Astral, but they've been coming back with a bite at every single corner.
I like the talent level of SoaR. I think that straight up, I think Astral Authority are probably better individually, but as a team, I think there's a little bit more to be said. And I love the draft coming out from SoaR Gaming. Kuzenbo going to push one and just walk away, but I love the draft. They mentioned that the Kuzenbo is a perfect pick into multi-hunters. I combine that with the Nike. You're just going to have this impenetrable wall that these hunters are going to auto-attack forever and not really do anything to.
But it could be the same story told for SoaR. Mr. White and Shaliber can have a pretty hard time penetrating that front line from Astral as well, because there's just so much room for Astral to play around in, since they have the Fafnir to immune out a lot of that damage going up into the Draconic form. They have the Cabrakan to cut off any sort of backup from SoaR and isolate members into very unfavorable situations. And then there's just Wolves. He's Odin. He's gonna cage you and make sure that nobody can escape.
I'm glad you said it the way you did. And then there's just Wolves, where we do all this nice commentary and we break down, you know, why a character like Kuzenbo is going to be successful against a double hunter build, because his spike shell just really punishes heavy auto attacks and things like that. As soon as the Gold Fury shows up, so do the players, Taco. In goes the Serqet with the blink, bringing Coviiii down low. Still in trouble, the Aegis going to help him out for the moment. Turn around! Mr. White stomps him on the head, and Coviiii going to fall down. Number 2 is going to be El Brochacho, as SoaR Gaming push their kill count up to 7. Astral Authority, KhaoticPurpose in the wings, but I think it's too little too late. So are the Ram shots. SoaR get the second Gold Fury of the game, and a bonus, Cabrakan.
It was worth the attempt, but now KhaoticPurpose is going to pay with his life. Wolves has made his way to the party, but it's just a little bit too late. Try to maybe disengage there or predict the jump out from Mr. White, but there's nobody left to follow it up.
They really got baited, they being Astral Authority. They saw how low the hunter was. Mr. White hanging on by the skin on his eyelids, and just still unable to walk away there. Astral Authority couldn't catch up. SoaR Gaming, like I said, second Gold Fury. This one they started, so they didn't steal this one. They're certainly stealing this game away from Astral Authority. 4K in the lead is SoaR Gaming.
That grouping from SoaR, I think, just completely blindsided Astral Authority. Only 2 members around that Gold Fury pit. It was just Coviiii and Brochacho, probably just looking to place a ward. And sure enough, there actually is a ward on that upper end corner, which I think is actually what the 2 were up to. But every single member just collapsed right on top of those 2. And when they died as quickly as they did, it just did not leave any room for the other members from Astral to try and help follow up or at least peel for their teammates to get out of there.
I mean, everybody just died too quickly. you saw KhaoticPurpose come through, and he was like, about that. You know, I'm not really going to mess with you there. Too many players involved. And so he just tried to go for the objective, was a little bit late, and, well, the story is on the scoreboard. 2,000 gold lead here for SoaR Gaming, up by about 4 kills as well. But the next move is what I'm looking for. The Portal Demon here. Nice stun on Medieval. He's going to get jumped as well. The ring is good. Any follow-up damage? The answer doesn't seem to be yes, as everybody on SoaR Gaming looking at different places, but Mollusk focuses Coviiii and takes down the mid lane Medusa. Here comes the push coming out from the Kuzenbo. 3 players get crowd controlled. Wolves with big damage and forces Serqet out of the conversation.
That Kuzenbo, though, really putting in some damage against Wolves, actually forcing him to back off. A couple members low there from SoaR, but Mollusk, he was already able to back to base. Medieval kind of still lurking around, but he's going to be able to back for free as well. And the only thing Wolves can really do now is strip away the jungle.
Which is still, you know, still a win here, being able to take a little bit of farm away from the opposition. You can see KhaoticPurpose down 2 full levels, if not a level and a half, from the Mollusk. And you can see the jungle, there's a solo lane also, you know, here, finally reaching up and catching where Jacob was. So nice little comeback potential. KP, of course, needs it the most.
And Wolves actually getting crowd controlled out from anything else. Shaliber, though, forced to use that Aegis because of the blinking gauge from KhaoticPurpose. Shaliber doesn't have any actives available now, which makes the rest of SoaR decide to fall back.
Yeah, Shaliber with the vulnerable state that he's in can't really be that midline, I'll say. Not front line, not quite back line. Shaliber's playing very up, and that's giving him some grief. Ultimate from Mollusk on to Coviiii, who's going to chase. Couple of basics. Can't find them. Mollusk, what are you doing? Zigzag finally gets the kill. Not the cleanest one in Mollusk's career, but it is enough to bring SoaR Gaming up to 10 kills in total.
It's still a pick that they needed to happen if
Yeah.
you're going to commit that hard. And Coviiii, really just nothing left for him to do. I'm surprised he didn't try to turn that while he had the Aussie proc. Look for those in-hands. Would have given him enough health to survive that in-hand from Mollusk.
Tough stuff here for Astral Authority. I don't think that they expected to lose here, like a game at all. I think Astral Authority sort of came in saying, we are the king of the castle. And SoaR Gaming playing like the team that I think a lot of people out there had faith in them for. SoaR Gaming has been a solid team. Shaliber, one of the most improved players in the league, and you know the players surrounding him as well. Taco, I think this is a team that should be proud and happy to take it to Astral in game number 1.
No such thing as a free game when it comes to LAN, and same thing applies for Astral. Brachacha now actually coming under fire. Everybody's just going to CC him out, though.
And he's just going to be stuck. Another one for Mr. White right in the ring. Jumping to safe side, and there's going to be the sun dropping down on KhaoticPurpose. Slowed, but not down just yet. Beautiful push coming out from Medieval. One shot from the other side, but the good shot is on this side. Mr. White puts up a dozen. SoaR Gaming at 26 minutes win another team fight, 2-0. And I'm looking at the Hunter, 6-2-4. A lot of work has been put in by Mr. White.
I like the mentality of the double Hunter composition from Astral Authority. I don't like the Odin with 0 follow-up inside of that ring. That's probably been the most limiting factor here for Astral Authority in their draft. Is there is only so much you can do once that Odin ring comes out, and Wolves had a great cage there.
Yep.
And there was nobody to punish him. Or punish SoaR, I should say.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Just no giant AoE. All you have are these basic attacks coming out, and I just don't think that this composition has worked. I really don't know what else to say because this is a composition that I know that Astral could play. I think it's just SoaR Gaming on their mark this time around.
I think it was a little bit of Astral kind of just relying on being mechanically better than SoaR that gave them the confidence to run this sort of draft, but it was just a really rough start for Astral. They were caught slipping.
And that's exactly what they're going to do. Another gold Fury. Another gold Fury going to SoaR. Easy one here. And what seemed to be a rather close game at first, Astral being the top card, the projected winner, if you ask a lot of people now. They're looking up at, what is it, a 7,000 gold deficit? SoaR Gaming just bringing it to them.
Still, there is room for error on SoaR's behalf, and Astral Authority could certainly turn this one around. Not that way, though.
Was that an ultimate? Coviiii ulted nothing. He's not going to hit Medieval. He might have hit Medieval, but he hits nobody else. That said,
he clipped them with the slow, but he did almost nothing for damage.
Well, SoaR's still forced to retreat off of it for some reason. Nice blink, but the bigger one! Oh, Mollusk. What a nice play.
That's awkward. That just really nothing else to be said other than that's pretty awkward. They were hoping to finally lock down this Serqet, but no chance with that reflex time.
Yeah, just it's all audio cue. You hear Odin blink on you and the cage come down, you blink away real quick before it can impact you. The debuff, which is actually very interesting, the fact that the debuff being applied, the debuff that you get when inside the ring, doesn't put you in combat. It has to be damage for those of you. You have to be damaged to be put in combat. You can be debuffed to the high heavens, but until you take damage, that's when you really enter combat.
Still, little breath of relief there, at least for Coviiii, who's been getting blink montage by the Serqet off cooldown. Speaking of which, KhaoticPurpose is actually in a lot of trouble here. He's incredibly low. Mala is going to make quick work of him.
Yeah, Mollusk with the flank from the left-hand side. You look towards one, but it's Mr. White that looks towards him and takes down KhaoticPurpose. Nice little ring will keep 3 players away from the team fight. Mollusk, however, exits out his own way. Here comes JacobTask, literally standing there with Thorn saying, I dare you. But it's Mollusk and Mr. White combining for 2 more kills. 3 for none so far. Transonics finally answers back. Someone's awake on Astral Authority. Puts Shaliber to bed. But right now, SoaR Gaming look great. 3 for 1.
Transonics trying to do what he can in regards to lifesteal to try and maybe help his team contest against this fire giant. Mollusk, though, he's already spotted him out. He's actually making a move onto Transonics. Speed buff still on the table. Not sure that Transonics wants to try and defend this one.
Well, Mr. White going for the portal, even by himself, successfully nails it. Wolves being pushed towards the target one more time. Mollusk, you're being greedy here. But he knows he's got teammates. That's why he's being greedy. It's calculated. Mr. White again. 9-2-4 for the Young Hunter. 20,000 player damage. Can you read me what the number is for number 2 on player damage?
Almost 15K. It's Mr. White's been putting up a showing ever since he got that solo kill off the Transonics.
That's insane. He solos Transonics, one of the more storied hunters in the league. And then he just sits consistently 5,000 damage above anybody else.
I'll tell you what, though, absolutely no chance in hell that Astral Authority don't come back with a fire in game number 2.
Very true. I mean, you know these guys personally, and their personality certainly feeds into it.
Oh, no. It's just one of those circumstances, I believe, where this draft could have potentially worked out. I'm still not a huge fan, personally, of Astral's draft just because there isn't any real follow-up for that Odin ring, which seems to be the primary premise.
I think the idea is that the Medusa ultimate would be that follow-up, but I'm with you. It's just not enough.
It's just not enough. Cones into circles, it doesn't really fit triangles into that kind of a shape, but it's something that Astral tried to make happen, and I think KhaoticPurpose as well. It was mostly an isolation factor that Astral Authority was trying to run. This is a team comp that splits you up, but they haven't been able to accomplish that because they were the ones getting picked off.
Exactly. There's no pure way to really separate when, well, you're the ones dying. Astral Authority here, defending their tier 2 tower. Medieval leading the charge for SoaR Gaming. He's got the positioning and a couple of pot shots coming out from Mr. White, who's finding everything today.
And Medieval, it's actually going to be Brochacho initiating. They really want to defend this T2 tower, but look at Mollusk lurking on the backside. Both these hunters are so exposed.
He just blinks right on top of Coviiii. A lot of the damage going to be Aegis out, but he can't Aegis forever. And Mollusk finds the kill out of the mid lane. Medusa back in the team fight. There's Wolves fighting with 3 separate members, and Mr. White punches his ticket. Mr. White does it again. The double, and he's gonna push on.
And he's about to heal everything thanks to that Aussie proc. Plus, he already has the Devourer's Gauntlet. It's looking pretty grim right now for Astral Authority, and SoaR Gaming might just do it to him and take the first game.
Right now, it's a little much. The right side Phoenix has not been brought down yet. There are still 2 towers available, so I don't know if SoaR Gaming can just walk on in there, and neither do they. JacobTask, it looked like Jacob was just going for the Titan, and somebody said, hey, bud, you need to kill a Phoenix first. So SoaR getting a little bit ahead of themselves. It's not resulting in really any losses just yet. Tier 2 in the mid going to go down, and likely see a little bit of aggression on the left-hand side.
They are just taking everything off of the map, and any sort of comeback possibility, Gold Fury Towers, gone.
Gold Fury is absolutely next on the docket. And like we said, half hour in, 19-5, SoaR Gaming up a ton of gold, 16 thou. And the star of the hour has been Mr. White 98. What a fantastic game this guy has had.
Mr. White has had a fantastic game, but I can't take anything away from Mollusk. This is by far probably the best showing I've ever seen from Mollusk on console.
Yeah, you know, I gotta give that up to him as well. 7-0-10, involved in 17 of the 19 without a death. And Mollusk has been, this is the best I've ever seen Mollusk play.
That's exactly, no, verbatim, exactly how I feel. It is such a clear improvement since the last time he decided to play into now. But if you're going to show up, LAN is the time to do it.
Exactly. I mean, this is the type of work and effort that he's been able to put in. I like that he's been a consistent part of the scene, whether he's coaching, whether he's here as a player. Mollusk is a guy that definitely wants to be involved. And, you know, it's you bring your friend along one time, and then, hey, you know the game, you can coach for us. But being able to say, no, man, I'm going to be the jungler that carries the game and gives it to your hunter. Trust in me. I think that means something to his teammates, sure, but I think that means something to Mollusk. I think this is a really important game for him going forward, and not just for him to write something down in his diary about Taco. I mean, that this is the type of game that enables you as a player.
I mean, what better way to establish yourself than against a team like Astral Authority that people hold so highly and think so highly of and really respect? This has been a very standout game for SoaR. One thing, though, that I can also definitely say, Serqet, I can't imagine Mollusk getting that one again in game number 2.
No, this is the type of performance that you ban out Serqet. I think with the HoYi, you sit there and you go, well, hunter be a hunter be a hunter, right? I don't think that anything particularly HoYi went off outside of the 1v1. But, yeah, no, the way that Mollusk has been piloting this Blink Serqet, even here on the right side, just jumping on Coviiii, this might be a little audacious as he's surrounded. But he's able to get out of it, no problem. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
There's just no real lockdown. There are ways to separate members, but a god as mobile as a Serqet isn't going to care about your Cabrakan walls or your Odin rings. The only thing that really matters is that hard CC, like a Petrify connecting or Brochacho hitting the hammer stun. And even then, that crowd control usually isn't long enough to kill a Serqet.
Just not enough time.
Not with their draft, because you have 2 hunters, and Rama is great for the late game shred, but there's only so much a Ram can actually do.
You don't have that option of just, well, the Serqet ulted somebody, so she's stationary in place. Let me crack in her feet, or let me just riled her brain, right? You just don't have that option, as you beautifully highlighted. So Mollusk here is just going around unpunished and just killing everything. And when he's not getting the kills, he's setting his teammates up for it.
And the triple thorns as well from SoaR Gaming have just made this game pretty much abysmal to be a hunter in.
And that's, you know, it's I like this. I like this strategy. Medieval by himself, I'll activate a little bit of everything. 5 players on 1 Kuzenbo. Sorry, bud.
That's the pick that they needed to happen, though. Now everybody has to get out and away from the fight. Brochacho trying to help his team with the disengage. They're all looking to get back underneath this Phoenix, and Mollusk actually coming up a little bit short for now, but Wolves in a whole lot of danger.
He took all the damage from the mid lane mage, and Shaliber is able to put a dot on it and take him down. 2 for 1 so far, as the support has gone to the wayside. Wolves and KhaoticPurpose are the ones that are sitting down for Astral Authority. The damage dealers are still alive for SoaR. Here comes Mollusk over the wall. Zigzag 2. Jacob brings 1. That's going to be a kill. Mollusk finally sits down. Finds his first death of the entire game. But it comes 37 minutes in when his team is up a bunch of kills. And SoaR just look untouchable right now. Taco, they're up 20 grand.
Astral are still barely holding on to this one. I don't know if you noticed, but Transonics, that did not tickle those autos that he just landed into Mollusk, and that's the main concern here for SoaR Gaming. Brochacho, he's not going to be able to get away. Actually, Shaliber going to get credit for that one. It's going to be a 3rd Phoenix for SoaR, and on top of that, everybody from SoaR is just going to be back up and running in less than 25 seconds. And if Astral want to hold on to this one, they can't afford to take a fight inside their base. There's too much damage from SoaR's draft that they can just all in the Titan.
That time right there, you know, I'm glad that SoaR played it carefully. I think I would have made the same call, Taco, but you think they could have found the kill? Could they have taken the Titan?
I don't think they could have ended the game there. No. I think it's too risky to try and close out the game because Transonics could have just stood in Fountain auto-attacking, and he has plenty of damage to at least buy enough time for the respawns.
Yeah, certainly something to be careful about. I wasn't sure. I thought mathematically maybe they might have been able to like sneak in there and do some
It could have been
damage.
close.
Yeah.
Very close.
It would have been like the photo finish.
An unnecessary risk, though, if you're SoaR Gaming, when you're up like 20,000 gold,
Yeah.
all the experience in the world, itemization's fully online, and I mean, why make your hunters or your mages be concerned?
Yeah, exactly. There's no reason. It would have been fun, but SoaR play it safe as they should. Head back to base. 3 players still remain with the Fire Giant buff for about 20 seconds here. Jacob, Shaliber, and Mr. White. Well, I think it's a very big deal and still on him. 18 out of SoaR Gaming's 23 kills have involved Mr. White. And right now the Hunter playing it nice and safe, positioning well in between his Kuzenbo and his Raijin. There's a little toss out. Wolves going to jump away.
Well, we're starting to understand a little bit, at least, why SoaR didn't even bother banning away this Odin. Normally, players don't want to try and deal with it from Wolves at all, but considering Astral's draft, it's not going to take much longer for SoaR Gaming to close this one out.
Not even worried about the team fight. All in, baby! Astral Authority stick to their old guns and just go right for it. SoaR Gaming taking game number 1.
And that's exactly what I was referencing, is that Astral Authority could not afford to wait. They were trying to buy enough time to maybe see if they could just fight alongside those Phoenixes, but instead, look at that trash talk.
What's
the
he saying
trash
out
talk,
there?
man.
Shaliber, normally a quiet, cool, mild-mannered kid. You know, this sort of was what we opened the game talking about Transonics. Shaliber, same thing. Shaliber is actually from, like, literally my town. Well, the next town over where they're a little bit more soft. And that's where Shaliber comes from. And Shaliber early on was just a little bit like, hey guys, you know, I'm here to play and like being very nice. That's a very different Shaliber that we've seen in the past.
Shaliber is just, he's typically just such a soft-toned and soft-spoken guy. And so to see him standing
like a bad
up.
R&B singer.
Exactly. He's a SoundCloud rapper. That's the way we'll leave it. But either way, Shaliber is really just one of those mild-mannered guys. So to see him actually standing up and participating in that trash talking, it's crazy.
SoaR is certainly feeling themselves, and they should after game number 1. SoaR Astral Authority, SoaR up 1 game.
And thank you, Tom and Taco over there at the casting booth. And after that game, I'm feeling good here. We got Finch, we got Tolly, we got Inbound as well. And if I'm feeling good, we know SoaR is feeling good. Up 1-0 over Astral Authority. And Tolly, I mean, tell me, what was it that had SoaR looking so good in that game?
I think SoaR got a little bit of an edge once the first blood happened. Transonics not giving the respect to Mr. White. And we were listening to the interview from Bro Chacho, and he actually was quoted that his team is playing more disciplined, but that game specifically didn't feel that way.
They did not look disciplined. Transonics just didn't give any respect to Mr. White, that solo kill. Mr. White dropped the Suns, and I'm pretty sure he still had his beads up even after, and he ended up dying for it.
He could have dashed away. He could have went in his ultimate to buy some time. Instead, he was walking away from the Suns, but not only just walking away, he was walking towards Mr. White. He's like, I dare you to keep going.
And I want to ask you here, too, Inbound, as our player here on the desk. I mean, how big is that energy that comes off it? Because it felt like the whole team of SoaR kind of soared, I guess, off it. They really kind of ballooned up afterwards. Tell me a little bit about what that's like when your Hunter is able to get that solo kill over there in duo.
It was a solo kill from their rookie
Yeah.
against Transonics.
Yeah.
Immediately, every single one of them were like, we can win this. And they won.
Yeah, I mean, it's so big when you're able to get something like that. And, I mean, we can see some of those numbers here. I mean, look at Mr. White up there at 31K doing so much damage for this SoaR team. And I think he's a good part of what got them into the position where they could win like they did. He started off the game so well on this Hui here, Tolly.
He was just taking advantage of the lack of magical damage also from Astral Authority. Between the Fafnir and the Cabrakan, the composition from Astral Authority was a little awkward. It didn't really fit their identity for the most part, at least like the whole 5 gods. Some of the gods did, but for the most part, not really their true identity. And I think the way that they started was a little unconventional with the proxy farming and all that stuff, especially with their composition. And it was just SoaR running the show from the get-go.
Yeah, like I said before this game even happened, I didn't even know that this was a comp that they ran, and it showed like they haven't ran it, and they just picked it out because Elevate ran it last week, so they figured they could run it. And you got to get KP on an assassin. Him on Cabrakan, he just did not look like his normal KP.
We were talking about it, right? A Willish was the answer before, but
She would've been
as
great,
soon as the Medusa was locked in after the secondary ban phase, it was beautiful counter picks from SoaR Gaming. They picked Nike and Kuzenbo, two insanely resilient frontliners to deal with these double 100 compositions, especially Kuzenbo with the spiked shell, the double thorns. It was just madness.
Yeah, yeah. And I just want to point out, Mollusk's build was perfect for that game. His one magical defensive item was an Anchile, and every time Chach tried to go on him, silenced everyone around him. He had the mid guard. The hunters couldn't even shred him. The thorns, when they were doing damage to him, perfect build from Mollusk.
Yeah, there's no way that anyone here watching that game could talk about that game without talking about my man Mollusk, not just because of the way he played in the game, but the impact he had here in the actual arena. My dude was popping off constantly. There's no way that that wasn't affecting our boys on the other side, as well as bolstering his own team totally.
The mind games were real, honestly, between these two teams. Every little play that SoaR did, Astral Authority definitely heard about it across the room. There was no quiet moment in this game, and I got to give my hat off here to Mollusk. You know, coming from a coach position, I think, where he traveled to Valencia, I think it was as Astral's coach back then, to now have to face them. So I think that's a slight edge to SoaR now, because Mollusk might have some pages in their playbook.
That's true. He might know exactly what Astral. Maybe he even created that comp for them, and he knew how to beat it.
Tactical.
Yeah, he maybe so. But I mean, Mollusk in particular in that game, I mean, like you said, even if he wasn't involved in the play, like if the play happened on the other side of the map, Mollusk is still the one yelling about it. He's still the one talking about it. So that kind of impact, having someone like that on your team is a big deal for them. But I also want to talk to you a little bit here about MedievalDoc here on that Kuzenbo pick. I mean, we were up here on the desk talking a little bit about maybe Kuzenbo wasn't the play, but I mean, he looked really good on it totally.
The way the draft from Astral Authority was working out was they were kind of like diving all-in-ish between the Odin and the Cabrakan, and the Kuzenbo ultimate makes it more difficult to kind of accomplish that goal, and that was the perfect moment. We saw at the 32-minute mark where everyone was diving Mr. White, and he barely survived with 1% health. I think there was 3 or 4 picks after the fact, and then that's when the Phoenixes started to fall.
Yeah, he played that Kuzenbo like really unexpectedly. Usually when you play the Kuzenbo, you stand in front of the hunters, but he went onto the Odin, went onto the Cabrakan, only used his ult for peel instead of like just confirmed damage, and Mr. White was ready for it, and he took the damage off of the Kuzenbo CC.
Yeah, and then this is where I think he baited himself out for so long until finally Astral Authority were like, nope, we've had enough. I think they committed like everything.
Yeah.
They finally got the kill, but they lost a couple of lives after the fact.
They burned everything on him.
And it really felt to me like the comp from Astral Authority, like early game it was, you know, take out Shaliber. Then later on it was try to take down Mr. White. You know, it was a hard time winning any team fight, you know, very convincingly. And I think it's in part because, as you said, MedievalDoc on this Kuzenbo, man, was just so disruptive for him. I mean, he really did a good job. But also, I mean, JacobTask on this Nike pick, man, no way they were getting through that.
And with the draft from SoaR, with the Nike and the Kuzenbo, this just goes to show that LAN is a different beast entirely from the online. And the fact that, you know, Kaz did a good job against you guys, the last game Elevate, and then now here, game number 1, SoaR showing their stuff against Astral Authority, the team that won both spring and summer. They're really stepping it up here in the LAN. How are you looking at SoaR now? Because you guys are going to have to eventually play them.
Honestly, we were coming in just focusing on Astral.
Yeah.
But after that, SoaR is looking incredibly strong. They all almost played perfectly towards the end game. A couple mistakes in the early game, but wow, that was nice out of SoaR.
No, and you make a good point, totally, when you talk about how important these matchups are. I mean, because they're best of 2s, because there's potentially 3 points on the line, if you're able to get that full 2-0, them guaranteeing themselves a point and limiting Astral to at best 1 point, I mean, that's going to change the whole fabric of that group. Now, Astral Authority looking maybe not so guaranteed after this first game.
I mean, based off of the records alone between group number B, it was you guys and Astral Authority that had the best records and, you know, clear-cut favors. Kaz, second best European team. SoaR struggled online phase, so I figured it would be you two for the most part, but SoaR just pulling out all the stops, really throwing a wrench here at Astral Authority, and I think that they're going to throw some more wrenches, so I hope you guys are prepared as well.
I'm ready for it.
Well,